We're here today to say that North Korea does not deserve to be the president of the UN-backed Conference on Disarmament. And we're standing here across the street from the Conference on Disarmament on the day that North Korea begins chairing a month-long session. And I'm about to read a statement that is signed today by 27 human rights and non-governmental organizations, including Free the North Korean Gulag, Yang Jan Lee, the former prisoner of conscience, survivor of Tiananmen Square, and his group, Initiatives for China. We have International Christian Concern from the United States, the Center for Youth and Democracy from Somalia, the Moroccan Organization for Human Rights, Norwegian Church Aid, Society for Threatened Peoples from Germany, and in all, 27 NGOs from around the world are supporting this statement. The undersigned coalition of human rights NGOs strongly protest North Korea's presidency of the Conference on Disarmament. We call on all CD member states to register their protest, as Canada has already done. We also call on North Korea to hand over its presidency to a more suitable country. And we do this and we say this for two reasons. Number one, North Korea is a gross violator of disarmament principles and flouts UN Security Council decisions. The North Korean regime has no credibility on disarmament. Few, if any, countries pose a greater nuclear threat to the world than North Korea. The rogue regime, led by the unstable dictator Kim Jong-il, possesses an estimated 12 nuclear weapons, combined with a record of hostile actions and threats to its neighbors and the world at large. As reported last year by a UN panel, North Korea has defied UN sanctions and used front companies to export nuclear and missile technology to the repressive regimes such as Iran, Syria, and Burma. Just last week, the International Atomic Agency in Vienna found that North Korea's nuclear program remains a matter of, quote, serious concern, and it noted reports about the construction of a new uranium enrichment facility and a light water reactor. Even for a short period, the symbolism of an international outlaw like North Korea heading, quote, the undisputed home of international arms control efforts, as the CD was called last January by UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, is terribly wrong. North Korea should not head any arms control body, even for a month. Secondly, North Korea is one of the world's worst violators of human rights, and as such, North Korea should not be granted the symbolic legitimacy of chairing a world body dedicated to peace. The United Nations General Assembly and the Human Rights Council have repeatedly condemned North Korea for its massive violations of human rights. Resolution 65/225, adopted last December, is the United Nations General Assembly's most recent condemnation of North Korea, and it found the following: systematic and grave violations of civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights, torture, the absence of due process and rule of law, the imposition of death penalty for political and religious reasons, collective punishment, the existence of a large number of prison camps, and the extensive use of forced labor. And here we have before us depictions of these camps by survivors. You see here the 10 rules of the camps: no one shall escape, no one shall gather with free prisoners, one shall watch his peers and report instantly if they engage in banned activities, one shall repent for one's crimes, and number 10, one shall be shot instantly if he or she breaks one of the rules. And here you see camp number 15, located in Yoo-il County, occupies 1/3 of the whole county. As is the case with the other camps, camp number 15 is a closed village surrounded by an electrified barbed wire fence with guard towers and patrolled by heavily armed guards. And here we see drawings, death by hanging. These were done by survivors of the camps. And since the camps do not provide meat, we see depictions of prisoners eating rats, snakes, frogs, and many of them die because of eating these things. Here you see camp number 14, survivor Shin Dong-yuk. He witnessed the public execution of his mother and his brother in November 1996 because they attempted to escape. He escaped from Camp 14 and defected to South Korea in 2006. And here are other survivors depicting Mr. Shin tortured by fire in Camp 14, where he has his wrists and his ankles tied, and you see other atrocities being committed in the Yoo-il prison camp and in camp number 14. And so this is the country, North Korea, which is one of the world's worst violators of human rights, and it does not deserve to head any United Nations body, certainly one that relates to peace. We have with us here Joo-il from North Korea, served as a captain in the North Korean military, defected in 2005, made his way from China to Cambodia to Thailand, eventually to the United Kingdom, where he is a leader in efforts to organize democracy, reform, to bring about an end to the regime which he has called a hell on earth. And he will describe what is going on in North Korea. We'll hand over the microphone to him.
북이라는 일단의 각오를 가지고 북한을 탈출한 우리 탈북 자유민들은 오늘 스위스 제네바에 있는 유엔 사무소 앞에서 각종 악독과 건을 자행하고 있는 북한이 군축구의 순회 무장국이 된 것을 비탄하며 이 자리에 섰습니다.
I am here in front of the UN headquarters of Geneva on behalf of all the North Korean students who defected from North Korea by this year that in order to criticize the gross violations of human rights of North Korea and its participation as the president of the Conference on Disarmament.
저는 2005년도에 북한을 탈출해가지고 자유의 영국에서 지금 정착해 살아가고 있는 탈북자이민 김수일입니다. 저는 북한에서 조카가 옥수수 때문에 굶어 죽는 가슴 아픈 비극을 몸소 체험하고 북한의 만행을 고발하고자 이 자리에 나왔습니다.
My name is Joo-il. I defected from North Korea in 2005 and now I live in the United Kingdom. And I am here to criticize violations of human rights of North Korea and its treatment of its residents because I experienced my nephew's death from starvation.
지금 유엔 본부 앞에서 유엔 제네바 사무소 앞에서 유엔과 국제사회의 탈북자이민과 또 2천만 북한 주민을 대표해서 다음과 같이 송사한다.
In front of the UN headquarters of Geneva and in front of the international community, on behalf of 20 billion residents of North Korea, I would like to criticize
반민도적 인권과 각종 불법을 저지른 김정일 집단은 유엔 민축의 순회 무장국직에서 당장 물러가라.
The North Korea regime, which is a gross violator of human rights and illegal seller of weapons, has to hand over its presidency of the Conference on Disarmament to another country.
정치범 수용소를 비롯한 말도 안 되는 인권유린과 식량난을 지속적인 식량난을 계속 유지하고 있는 북한의 김정일은 국제사회 앞에 자신의 죄가를 진심으로 반성해야 한다.
And the North Korean regime has to take responsibility of its violations of human rights, including the installment of political prisoners camp and its treatment of political prisoners and the treatment of its residents, including the starvation.
미국과 유럽 나라들을 비롯한 국제사회는 북한의 말도 안 되는 군축 우회 무장군 지휘의 반대를 강력히 동참을 강력히 촉구하며 이를 위해서 끝까지 싸워주기를 설득자인으로 당부한다.
On behalf of North Korean residents, I call upon the international community to protest against the presidency of North Korea and the Conference on Disarmament.
세계의 인권을 사랑하고 정의를 사랑하는 세계의 양시민들은 북한 사회의 이런 말도 안 되는 코미디 앞에 당장 이런 코미디 노름을 중단할 것을 유엔과 국제사회에 요구해야 한다.
And I call upon all the civilians of international community who love peace and human rights to demand the UN to put a stop to this comedy that is constantly going on in North Korean society.
외교조선협회와 제1호조선인 총연합회는 강도 집단 김정일이 국제사회와 그리고 인도적 정의를 사랑하는 양심적 국민들 앞에 진실로 재판을 받는 그날까지 우리의 인권 투쟁을 멈추지 않을 것이다. 2011년 8월 2일 대영조선연합회 제1호조선 총연합회 전체 일동.
We members of the North Korea Resident Society of England and Europe will fight until the day where the wrong state of North Korea steps in violations of human rights and maltreatment of its residents.
Thank you, Kim Joo-il, and all the activists that you work with for coming here today, for testifying about your personal suffering, the suffering of your family, and the suffering of your people. I want you to know that the human rights community today stands with you, stands with your family, and stands with the people of North Korea who are being victimized by a ruthless regime and who deserve basic human rights. They deserve the right to life, they deserve the right to peace, they deserve the right to health. And it's not just something that they deserve, it's an obligation. They are owed it by the international community. And today, 27 human rights groups from around the world join with you, join your call in urging all states to follow the example of Canada, to register a strong protest against North Korea being made the president of the Conference on Disarmament. We urge all countries to speak out, to object to this absurdity, to this comedy, as you stated, and to make their voices heard. And let us all hope that one day the people of North Korea will have the human rights that they deserve. Thank you, and thank you all.